Hi everybody, this is Jacob. I wanted to make some sort of blog post or video to describe what I'm doing. If you know me, if you've been following me, you might have seen that I am road tripping around the United States and no longer living in the Bay Area. So I was living in San Francisco Bay Area, Mountain View, then San Francisco, then Berkeley for close to a decade. I went up there to do startups, and I worked in startups, had a life, dated people, met people, made friends, but recently I decided to leave it, and it's because it just wasn't working out for me anymore. I felt like I was working hard just to fall behind slower. The cost of living in the Bay plus my student loans just means it meant like slowly falling behind financially. And before, in late 2017, I had the end of a long-term relationship, and when I was with her, I had someone to split the bills with, which was nice. And also, there was this idea that my life was building towards something, like we would have a family someday, and we would be in each other's life for the long term. So each day, even if I was just surviving, it felt like it was going somewhere. And when that ended, I couldn't see much reason to be in the Bay anymore. It seemed somewhat hostile to the kind of life that I wanted to lead. I did a lot of soul searching in that relationship, and I know that I want to have a family of my own, and I want to be a father. I like what playing a nurturing role, and I like what that does to me. I like how that changes how I see the world, and I want to live in that space. And I also imagine that it will give me the feeling of meaning and connection to the future. So we'll find out. But in the Bay, it's not a good place for families at all. Most people in the Bay are interested either in play, in art. So it's a great place to be if you want to act like you're 17 when you're 40, which is great. I love play and art. It's just, it doesn't feel like a full life to me. And the other thing that is really big in the Bay Area is work. And so if people aren't prioritizing play over a family, then they seem to be prioritizing career and getting ahead and making something of themselves over family. And so I decided to set out and see what the rest of the country is like, and maybe a little bit of the rest of the world. I'm taking my job on the road, anywhere except for a super expensive city. My job is great money, and I will be able to travel and work from coffee shops and see some other parts of the United States. And sort of a meta goal of mine is I formulated an idea of what this trip would be about, like what I would spend my time on, what I always wanted to do that I haven't gotten to do yet. And so I came up with 3 goals for the trip. One is to deepen my spiritual roots. 2 is to learn more music and study more music. And 3 was to potentially find a new place to live. Well, I started off in Santa Fe at the monastery that I know about, that I have a relationship with. And I will say I've done a great job. It feels like to me on point number 1. Like I've been binging on spirituality. So I stayed at that monastery, and then after I left, I was staying at the church in Santa Fe, the Orthodox church there. And then I went back to the monastery for another weekend. And then I went back to the church, and I stayed there through the first week of Lent. And I mentioned, I had another video where I talked about becoming a catechumen, so like being an official part of the church is new to me. And and I've just been, Lent is an intense time for Orthodox with a lot of fasting, a lot of extra services. At one point, I noticed that I had been to church, it was like 10 days in a row. And it was because I went to the monastery and then I was living at the church in their guest room. So it was easy for me to just kind of pop downstairs in the evening. And it's somewhat like bizarre. Like I didn't expect to be exploring Christianity in my mid-30s. If you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would have thought this would be insane. I hated church as a kid. I never wanted to go. But the Orthodox faith is really beautiful. Like the services are super beautiful. They're full of ancient music. And like going to church feels like going to a classical music concert or something like that. And would I go to like a Bach recital every day for 10 days in a row? Yeah, yes, I would. Like, in fact, like after a day of working at the computer, like going and hearing some beautiful music, like that is refreshing to me. That I think that is good for the soul, good for the heart. So going to church at Holy Trinity Orthodox Church in Santa Fe, where it's so beautiful and they have a great choir, they have a great priest. I have some pictures of the inside of the church there. It feels like, I felt like the emissaries of Vladimir the Great, who the Orthodox Church calls Saint Vladimir. He sent them to learn about the world's religion because he wanted a literate modern religion for the kingdom he had conquered. And he sent some emissaries to Constantinople, and they attended an Orthodox church service there. And when they got back, they told him, we did not know if we were in earth or in heaven. And that's the way I feel about Holy Trinity in Santa Fe. It just feels like the services there transport me to another world. Like this is a big piece of my identity that's changing. So I can feel a little disoriented sometimes. Sometimes I feel ungrounded. Like there's no solid me that I'm used to go back to. I'm really sort of launching into the unknown and changing very rapidly. And then the people in Santa Fe at the church were super welcoming. They had me over for dinner, gave me places to stay, had me go out with them and their friends. It was a very positive experience. And now I'm up in Colorado. I'm cat sitting for another friend of the church in their beautiful home in Loveland, Colorado. I joke that to myself that I have two religions, jiu-jitsu and orthodoxy, because I go to the church and the jiu-jitsu gym everywhere I go to like just see what the pillars of my life would be like there if I was to live there. And so I'm doing that. I'm hoping to do more music as I travel. I'm going to Austin, Texas next. So it's a huge musical city, and I want to just pick up my guitar, maybe go to some open mic nights, maybe find people to play with, maybe jump into the choir rehearsal at the church there, just make a nuisance of myself and try to stay in tune. That's the plan. And then New Orleans after Austin, because that's really where the musical culture that I love is, like the southern gospel-y, bluegrassy, bluesy like music. Like most of the genres I like are like more historically black music, like gospel and blues and funk, and then like people like James Brown and Stevie Wonder and blues players. Like a lot of them I don't know their names, but there's just these great guitarists. You can find videos and phonographs of them from the 1930s, 1940s. Like I love that just southern fried style. And as I go, I want to do a little bit more journaling. I haven't done much, but I just want to keep track of where I've been and what I felt when I was there. And I'm optimistic. Like life, I feel so unstuck. I was somewhat feeling a little hopeless and stuck when I was in the Bay Area. I felt like there was nothing to look forward to. It was just more of the same. And I felt like I had gotten everything and squeezed everything I could out of the Bay. Like I learned all the lessons there, and now it was just making me a worse person. It's like, it felt like the wrong place for me. And now that I'm doing this, I'm just so excited. And I feel lonely sometimes, but not that much. And I'm just trying to find more of a rhythm of life that will fit me on the road. So, yeah, next stop, swinging back through Santa Fe on my way to Austin, seeing all my people back in Santa Fe. I really feel like I left a part of my heart there, and I'll always have friends there. And then I hope to be in North Carolina in May to see my family. And then in June, I'll be flying back to California for a wedding that I'm happy to hear about. And then I'll be maybe jetting out to Europe. And I'm hoping to finish my wandering pilgrimage in 3 to 6 months and start building a new life somewhere, depending on what I find. So that's what I'm up to. And, subscribe to my channel. I might put out a newsletter. Just subscribe to all the things. Keep up with me. And wish me luck. And may you have a blessed Lent. Peace.